So I have two examples up here I'd like to talk about. These are going to give us some more practice on augmented sixth chords as well as just general harmonization Roman numeral analysis. In this first example, I'm giving you a melodic line and giving you some indications like we're in E minor, the first chord is going to be a 1 chord, we're going to put a German augmented sixth chord right here on beat 4 and we're going to end on 1. So this is just to kind of jog your memory, refresh what we've talked about in previously. Here's my thought process and how I do it. German augmented sixth chord almost always goes to a 1-6 chord, a 1-6-4 chord rather. So with the G here, can I put a 1-6-4 chord right there? Absolutely. So I'm going to start by just putting in what I know. 1-6-4, this is going to be on a strong beat, cadential 6-4, almost always goes to some kind of 5 chord. Can I do that? F sharp, can that be in a 5 chord? Absolutely. And I'll make it 5-7 just because you have a more robust harmony here. And let's keep that going all the way through the cadence. Then the only real question is, how do I harmonize this B natural? How do I harmonize that A natural? And it's got to be something that leads me up to, that can precede a German augmented sixth chord. What can precede a German augmented sixth chord? German augmented sixth chords precede 5. So 5 is here, German augmented sixth chord is inserted before. So anything that can come before 5 can come before a German augmented sixth chord. So things like 4 or 2 diminished 6, actually, you know, a 1 chord, right? These are the most common chords we would expect. Well, we have an A, so could that A be a 4 chord? Yes. Could it be a 2 diminished 6 chord? Yes. So we have that option. So either one of these would be a good option for harmonizing this A natural. Before I go ahead and do that, let's take a look at this B natural. I could harmonize it with a 1 chord, because we already have a 1 chord. I would not do it in root position because that would be boring. I'm not going to go 1 chord, another 1 chord, when we have harmonic motion we expect it coming up, that's a change every beat. So I could put the 1 chord in first inversion, so I could go 1-6 maybe. What else could I do? Well, I could make it a 3 chord. And I wouldn't want to make it a 5 chord. So those are my two choices, most obvious choices. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and pick 3 and 4 as my harmonizations. And then the German augmented sixth chord, let's remember how we spell that. German augmented sixth chords are always on the bass note in traditional bass position is a half step above scale degree 5. So scale degree 5 is our B natural. So over here we're going to be having a B natural for the 1-6-4 chord, another B natural for the 5-7 chord. So half step above that would be a C natural. G is the perfect fifth above that bass, and we'll spell the rest of the chord as we go, but that would be our bass line. So let's complete. We have a root, a fifth, we need another root, and we need a third, so I'm going to put the third here and the root here. I'd rather not put the third up here and double the root here. It gives it a little bit more, by opening up that voicing, it gives it a little bit more resonance. G, G, that means I need another G and a D. I can maintain the common tone in the tenor and move the alto down by step to complete the chord. A, C, E. In this case, I have the bass. These are two root position triads with stepwise motion. The rookie mistake is just to move everything up by step, but then you have parallel everything. We don't want that. We know that good voice leading, when the bass steps up, it's often good to go down. So we're going to move everything down to complete our chord. A, C, E. The rest of the notes in our German augmented sixth. We have our C, we have our G, we need a major third above that C, and we need the augmented 6. So we need an E, which we can maintain right here, and an augmented 6, which we'll put right here in the alto. There's an A sharp. That A sharp, the C goes down to B, the A sharp goes up to B. That's the way that voicing, that augmented 6 resolves. We then need, we have B, B, G, and we're going to need an E, so that common tone. Then here, our voicing's a little low. Normally I'd want to go to the D sharp here, but that's going to create overlapping when I get here. So I guess I put my D sharp here, and I do not forget to put that in and raise the leading tone because I'm in a minor key that's not in the key signature. But this is a very awkward resolution for 164. 164 wants to resolve down like this. And then you have this problem. So you would solve that by either dropping this down the octave, but if that's not an option for you, let's say it's given, you don't have that, but that would be the easiest solution. If you don't have that, then you might have to go back and restructure everything, which is probably what we're going to do right here. And it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, I really need this voice to be up here. So if I do that, I'm just basically taking this entire voice, the entire tenor voice, and moving it up here, and the entire alto voice and moving it down. So we put the G, G, E, 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 D sharp. And what that would mean, so although I wanted to have that for resonance, for my initial voicing, just the fact that I'm given that note creates certain issues, and actually we're going to have to make some different choices here. We're going to start our tenors up nice and high. We're going to start them up on the E and then move down to the D like so, and then the C, and then the A sharp, and then the B, and then the A natural, and we're going to have our voices like so. So let me review with you what just happened and why I did that. I did voice leading and everything was fine, everything was going just perfect until I got to my very last chord. And I had been given this E natural in the bass. And because of that, I would have had to have overlapping, going from a D sharp here, and then having the bass be higher than the tenor was in this chord. So I would have had to break a rule. So the only way for me to solve all of that was to actually go all the way back to the beginning and flip-flop the two voices. One of the challenges with voice leading is that you can really keep going and everything's working out fine, and then you get to a point and there's no possible solution. You have to break a rule. And at that point you then have to make the decision. Do I break the rule? Or do I kind of go back and try to restructure? In the context of like doing this theory example, it was easy enough for us to go back and just change the two voices. So that's what we did. Let's take a listen and hear how that example sounds. Sounds great. Sounds great. And you can hear how effective this German augmented 6 chord is at giving some extra color and really developing a little more tension that launches us into this whole cadential 1, 6, 4, 5, 7, 1. If we look at our next example, this is a little bit different from things we've done in the past. This is a starting chord with bass and soprano, and no inner voices, and no Roman numeral analysis. And what I'm asking you to do here is come up with the Roman numeral analysis, assuming that there are 0 non-chord tones. Everything in the bass and the soprano are chord tones. Starting on a B flat major triad, 2 flats, B flat major is definitely our key. We start on a 1 chord. If I tell you that we have a D here and a B flat here, that's pretty clearly a 1/6 chord. The other options are just, again, keep in mind, don't forget when you're doing something like this, the 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, your primary triads, your 2 chord, your 7 diminished is almost always in first inversion. These may be in first inversion. Right? So when you see a D and a B flat and you say, oh, G minor triad, it could be a 6 chord and 6/4 inversion. Don't go there. That's not going to make a lot of sense. Our 6/4 chords are used second inversion, used very sparingly. You expect any of the diatonic triads in root position except for 7 diminished, and you expect these 4 to be also have the option of first inversion. So 1/6, far more common. We then have E flat and a B flat. That looks to me like a 4 chord. We then have an E natural and a D, and the deal was this is going to be analyzed with a chord. So when you have the interval of a 7th, E and D, you should be assuming a 7th chord. So E to D, that would be, and if we could add the diatonic notes of G and B flat, that would be a half diminished 7 sonority. So a secondary function, one of the first things you should consider, that would be a 7, half diminished 7 of 5. And we go to F, D. Now, that can't be a 5 chord, right? We need the D is not part of a 5 chord. So what possibly could we do? Not to worry. We know, we just did in our previous example, that 1/6/4 is often part of that 5 function. So we have the 5, scale degree 5 in the bass, that's good enough. So 1/6/4, right there. Now we have F sharp and C. F sharp and C is the interval of a tritone. We're not going to make that the root, the F sharp, the root of a diminished triad, because diminished triads just aren't found in root position very often. But we know that the 3rd and the 7th of a major minor 7 is a tritone. So when I see a tritone, I often assume that we're talking about a major minor 7th chord, which again is another secondary function, just like we had just a second ago. So that makes sense. We have a pattern. But in this case, it would be a 5, 6, 5. D would be resolved or rather down a 5th to G. So 5, 6, 5 of 6. And that certainly could be a 6 chord right there. We have the G, we have the B flat. That is certainly what we would need. Good. Now when we put at the end of measure the G flat along with this, along with the B flat, what could we be talking about right there? So let me make a little more space. We have a G flat, we have a B flat. Now this G flat is scale degree flat 6. And since we've been talking about augmented 6 chords recently, right here, scale degree 6, flat 6, the lowered 6 in a major key, is the most common place where you find an augmented 6 chord. So this would be a great place to put, let's just say, maybe an Italian augmented 6 chord. Right there. Augmented 6 chords go to a dominant function. F and B flat, well, it can't be a 5 chord, but how about 1, 6, 4, just like we had in the previous measure. Then 1, 6, 4, you'd expect to go to 5, but here we can make it 5, 4, 2, because we have the E flat in the bass. We can then go, the bass resolves as expected. We'd expect this to be a 1 chord, but with an A flat, that's not an option. What is this interval? D, A flat. That interval is a tritone, a diminished fifth. And what did I say just moments ago? Whenever I see a diminished fifth, a tritone, I assume it's the 3rd and 7th of a major minor 7. So if I say, well, that's the 3rd, and this is my 7th of a major minor 7, that means the chord is B flat, D, F, A flat. Would that make sense? B flat resolves down a fifth to E flat. Hey look, E flat, G, that could totally be my 4 chord, which would make this a 5, 6, 5 of 4. Then I have a C and a C. That's an octave. We like to double roots. How about the root of a 2 chord, which would be expected, 4 goes to 2. And then F in the bass, B flat here. At this point we're getting very accustomed to writing our 1, 6, 4 chord, followed by our 5 in root position and 1 in root position. So I did that pretty quickly, and hopefully you were able to follow along. And certainly, looking back at it, you can hopefully see, oh yeah, that makes sense what you were saying. That's a good way to analyze those harmonies. And you'll notice 1 to 1, 6, very common progression. To 4, common. 4 is going to this 1, 6, 4, and we're just inserting a secondary function in between. And so this 7/2 diminished 7 of 5 is going to the 1, 6, 4. 1, 6, 4 functions like a 5 chord when it's a cadential 6, 4. So then 1, 6, 4, we would expect the 1, 6, 4 to go to a 5 chord, right? It doesn't. It's kind of like it's doing what the 5 chords would have done. It's resolving deceptively. So this is really kind of interesting how we would expect 1, 6, 4, 5, and then maybe that 5 chord would resolve deceptively, right? So we might have that. But instead of going to the 5 chord, it's like we're getting deceptive before we even become deceptive. We go up a half step in the bass to a 5, 6, 5 of 6. So we basically put a 5 of 6, a secondary function of where we're going. We then backtrack to essentially a 5 function. This is 5. And we proceed it with Italian augmented 6. We substitute a secondary function. The bass resolves. We'd expect this 5 chord to go to 1. And we go to B flat D F here in our 5, 6, 5 of 4. B flat D F is a 1 chord. But by the addition of this A flat in the soprano, it transforms it. It gives you 3/4 of what you would have expected. And then it gives you a little something unexpected, which makes it actually a 5, 6, 5 of 4 to 4, 2, 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. Now let's fill in some of these inner voices. D, B flat. Can I maintain common tones here? I'm going to maintain this common tone. I'm going to move this to a B flat because in general I like to double the soprano. That's not necessary, but it's just it's one of the more common doublings. And actually I might change that as I move forward because I'm seeing that I would have to jump if I want to do that. So actually maybe I will keep the D, because then I can just move everything up here so that I have, well no, I can't do that. That would be parallel octaves and I would never do something like that. So I'll go with here to the B flat, and then I'm going to jump down here for my G, and I'll go here for my E flat. So that gives me the better voicing and proper voice leading. Now here, I'm not going to worry when it jumps from the fifth. I'm not going to revoice the chord, just because you can omit the fifth, and here we'd have 3 roots. That's fine. Here I need my E natural, G, D, and a B flat. So here I'm actually going to give myself a little space. I could keep the common tone, but I'm going to rather move things up so that I get a little more space, because I see the bass line is ascending. So after I do that, I want to go to my 1-6-4 chord. Here I can maintain common tone in the tenor, B flat. I need to double my F, so I'm going to do that. That gives me a 1-6-4 chord. Then here I need a D7, so I need a D, F sharp, A, C. So what am I going to do with that? Well, I can go A here and D here. Again, I want to give myself a little bit more room. So maybe if I jump again, well, I just did jump. So since I did, I'm going to move here and move this to the D here. And then when I go to this 6 chord, I can maintain that common tone, double the bass there. And although I wanted to leave room, I'm okay because now the bass is going to start descending. So if I do that, then my Italian augmented 6, I need G flat, a major third above that. I'm going to double that, and then I need the augmented 6 interval, which would be the E natural. So I have a G flat, I have 1 B flat. I'm going to move the tenor up to the other B flat, and I'm going to make this D natural is going to become my E natural, and I have to write that in because it's not in the key signature. We have E flats in the key signature. This E natural is going to continue by resolving up here. The B flat can be maintained as a common tone. You'll know you did it right when you have very smooth voice leading going out of the augmented 6 chord and into whatever follows that. 1-6-4, a 5-4-2, which would be F, A, and we would like a C, and that's easy enough to do to step up. Then here we need a B flat major minor 7, so B flat, D, F, A flat. We have the D, we have the A flat. So an F as a common tone and a B flat by step. That's easy to do. And then a 4 chord, E flat in the alto, maintain a common tone in the tenor. We need a 2 chord, 2 C's, E flat and G. So we have, so almost made a rookie mistake. I was going to be like, oh, I'll just maintain the common tone here and move this to a G, but I do not want parallel fifths. So I will not do that. I was going to move this B flat down to a G. No. Can't be done. So if this can't go to the G, this will have to go to the E flat instead. So we'll have it jump up. We'll have this jump up here. Then when we go to the 164, F, B flat, since we jumped up, we want to step back. We can do that. Then F, A, maintain common tone, F, C, and then we will resolve common tone and step up to complete our chord. So, let's hear what it sounds like. This will be a little bit slow and out of tempo so you can hear all the voice leading and how the chords line up. So here we go. Our 1 chord to 1/6. Right, so we covered a lot and we did it very quickly. Hopefully all your fundamentals are in shape. Your abilities to spell the chords quickly, to remember all the rules in terms of doubling and voice leading. If you need to go back and review, that is certainly very common and there's no problem with doing that. As I'm doing these things, you can see from even my description as I'm explaining my thought process, sometimes I'll make a move to go do something, but very quickly I'll notice, oh, that would be parallel fifths, or that's going to create some kind of problem. And so hopefully that inner monologue is going on inside of your own head as you're doing voice leading or composing pieces. So go forth and enjoy.